10 years into the game, I've generated over 1 billion organic views.
When you have a mission that's bigger than yourself, it becomes an energy of itself.
What kind of impact could we do if those 1 billion views were very intentional?
What are 3 takeaways that at the end of this podcast, they'll be able to look back on and be like, damn, I can implement that in my life?
Number one, knowing who they're going after. Right now, the big problem in content and strategy I see is so many people go for the vanity metrics. Number 2 is understanding distribution. Back in the day, it would be like 3 posts a week on Instagram and you were like the guy doing it. Today, it's like if you're not at least posting once a day, minimum, 300, let alone 3 a day, yeah, it's like you're not even being seen. And if I had to pick a third one,
welcome to a new episode of the Gynergy Effect podcast. I'm so excited today. Got somebody special on this podcast with us that's near and dear to my heart. We're going from the hero's journey to guide with Mr. Andrew Gonzalez. Let's go, baby.
What's up, man?
How are you?
Dude, I'm pumped to be here.
You're pumped? What are you pumped about?
Dude, to just talk together, go deep. We get to spend a lot of time together outside behind the scenes. So it's exciting to finally be able to sit down here and hopefully drop some gems for the people behind the scenes.
Drop some gems for people behind the scenes. What do you have in mind when you're coming on the podcast today? What is a great podcast with that for everybody that's listening right now? What does a great podcast look like?
Yeah, so it's funny you ask. I was on another podcast with a friend of ours, Brianne, who was on your podcast before.
Yeah,
Brianna, and she same thing. I asked her the same question I ask everybody when I come on. Usually is, who is your audience? And because the most impactful podcast or the best speech is the one that impacts the audience the most. So I always like to know what the audience is. Luckily, I know you well enough. I feel like I know who your people are, your audience, and it's really the one that's going to land with them most. And usually from there, at this point, it's just authentic, showing up real, showing up raw, not gatekeeping the information, just really truly dropping the information, I guess, that we've been able to just build up over the years. It's now been a decade since I've been doing this and working with different founder brands, and it's been a lot of fun. So now it's really the other side of that where I became the hero in my own journey, and then now I get to become the guide for other people along the way.
So set expectations. People that are listening to a podcast right now, what are 3 takeaways that at the end of this podcast, they'll be able to look back on and be like, damn, I can implement that in my life?
I love it. Number 1 is knowing who they're going after. Right now, the big problem in content and strategy I see is so many people go for the vanity metrics. They're going for They want virality. They want the millions of views, but they don't know who they're going after, because you could get 10 million views and it could do 0 for your business. Absolutely 0. And you can get 10,000 of the right views and it could change your life forever. So that would be the number 1 thing. Number 2 is understanding distribution. Today's day, back in the day, it would be like 3 posts a week, like on Instagram, and you were like the guy doing it. Today, it's like if you're not at least posting once a day, minimum, 300, let alone 3 a day, yeah, it's like you're not even being seen. It's just so much more competitive in today's age. So distribution, when I say distribution, I really mean systems, how to take one piece of content and distribute across multiple platforms, multiple ways of repurposing it, turning one asset into 30 pieces of content. So that's number 2, would be distribution. And if I had to pick a third one, it would be just understanding as a creator how to find the joy in doing it over and over and over again, because so many people will get so lost in the weeds sometimes, and that's my job, to get lost in the weeds. But for the person that's in front of the camera, usually the brands I'm working with, it's my job to make it easier and fun for them to show up on camera, because if it's not fun and they're not enjoying it, they're not going to do it long, and they're not going to do it with their whole heart. You can feel it off people when they're being super authentic. Like it could be, you could shoot the same exact video, same exact script or whatever, and one of them, like, you're just pouring out, it's your first take, and it's really just authentically you. And you will see the difference in numbers. People can feel that. It's very intuitive when people are watching content. You can understand that. And so if I had to pick 3, those would probably be the 3 main takeaways that they'll probably get from today.
So if you haven't figured this out, Andrew is our content creator, strategist, marketing. He's a man that's going to take this to a whole nother level and skyrocket it. So when we're out crushing the world and getting our message out and connecting with people, we can thank Andrew. And if you see it kind of drop off a little bit, we know who to call and hold accountable too. So he's gonna get credit both ways.
It's impossible for it to go down. I'm just amplifying greatness.
We're amplifying. We're creating the ripple effect.
That's it.
Through gratitude. When you have a mission that's bigger than yourself, it becomes an energy of itself.
For sure.
So I'm super grateful. Me and Andrew met a little while back. Do you remember where we met?
Yeah, we met at a birthday dinner for Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. Shout out, Sarah. I met a couple good people at that.
Yeah, Evan Rundle and I love it. Yeah, Till was there. Yeah, Till. There's a handful of like really good dudes. It was like, how do we not know each other already? And it ended up turning into like a little mastermind dinner.
It did.
We had to remind ourselves like, hey, we're here for Sarah. Because we were just broing out. Just broing out. And
it was really good. Set some intentions. Yeah,
yeah. We were around the table, and that's when I got to hear about your story and your upbringing. You opened up about your mom and everything else. And after that, I was like, me and this dude, like, we got to know each other because I just love his heart. And then we went on the hike that next week, talked, and then a few months later, we went on the Mexico house build. I brought my dad along, and that was super fun. And here we are. The rest has been history.
Man, the rest has been history. What do you think was the thing that resonated with you about the journey that we're on the most?
A lot. One is in the beginning of my journey, for sure, it was like I would work with pretty much anyone that would be willing to trust me. In today's age, I'm so much more looking for the right partnerships with people who are not doing things out of just wanting to seek validation and because they have this big ego to be the person. When I met you, I knew that was not the case whatsoever. The first thing we spoke about was quite literally the house builds. So when I see somebody that has clarity in their mission for the 1,000 homes, like that's when I realized he's going for something bigger than himself, and he will do this way further, and he will go way further and longer than most people will because it's actually purposeful to you. It's the reason why you wake up at 3:30 in the morning. And, that's really what caught my attention was the purpose that you put into what you do. And then the rest of it was just to make the vision, fund the vision, and make it come true. So that's really what resonated with me first. And, the more I find just genuine human beings like that are really trying to make an impact in the world. For me, now 10 years into the game, I've generated over 1 billion organic views. In my head, I kind of...
One with a B?
Yes, 1 billion views.
Say it again?
1 billion views over the last 10 years organically. Nope, not paid. Just through brand strategy and distribution.
Billion view man over here.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun, but I look back on those 10 billion or 1 billion views. We'll get to 10 eventually, but together. I asked myself, like, what kind of impact could we do if those 1 billion views were very intentional with either trying to create impact or positive change in the world? Because today it's like social media we have more access to the entire world than ever before. Right. Half of the world's population is on Instagram every single day. YouTube Shorts has over 400 trillion views a month. Wow. Like, there's no way that... 400 trillion. And there's no way that we could have ever had the type of reach and accessibility that we do today. And so what we do with that matters. For me, there's like the good and the bad side of social media, right? There's like, the brain rot, scrolling away, all the negative news type of things that you see on there. But there's also the positive side where you get to see people doing great things that are making a change and making a positive impact in the world and are using those platforms for good. So when I see both of that, I just see myself fighting for that good side and leveraging the platform to be able to make a good change in the world.
Man, I love that. We went on that hike, we took action. And then you just shared with me a lot of like your journey and everything else. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to go on the house build.
You sure? Yeah, instantly.
And then I'm like, all right, bet. And then it's a day before the house build. And I'm like, I haven't heard from Andrew in a minute. Let me confirm everything's good to go. Reach out. He's like, oh, my dad would love to go on this too. And I was like, cool, you and your dad, house build, let's get it. I reach out, what happened?
Dude, that was hilarious. I mean, that was just God opened up the way, and it was just like perfect alignment. My dad usually works weekends, and even the week before we met, my dad was literally just telling me, he's like, "Man, I want to do something like that. I want to give back. I want to do something like go down to Mexico and blah blah blah." And I'm like, okay. And the next week, you and I talk and meet, and I'm like, I'm in. Whenever it is, I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
funny enough, we life gets busy, and then the night before, Garin texts me and is like, "Hey, bro, we're leaving tomorrow at 7 a.m. Are you still in?" And I'm like, crap. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me call my dad. Like, maybe I'll shoot a Hail Mary, and and he usually works weekends, and for whatever reason, he took that entire weekend off. And in 30 seconds, he made a decision to go down, and we were there at 7 a.m. the next morning, and it was a life-changing event for not only me, but like truly life-changing for my dad.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about, so a lot of people haven't been down on a house build or down to the orphanages down in Mexico.
Yeah,
Well, tell us all about what that's like.
man, it's hard to even put it in words, honestly. One, it gives you perspective is probably the biggest thing. It's so easy for us to get lost in our bubbles and our problems that seem big. And then you go down and you get to learn about what real problems look like. But yet you see these people that should be more upset and having the bigger problems and whatnot, but yet they have more joy than half the people I know sometimes, and it's one of the most beautiful things to see. And then obviously the fulfillment that you get to have by doing this one act, this good deed, and helping even just one family. You mentioned on the trip the whole analogy of a starfish, on the beach. Like, maybe you can't save them all, but you can save this one, and this one matters. And so it's been giving me a very cool perspective, because many people, especially even myself, right? I'm very ambitious into the kind of impact I want to have. And when I look at it too, sometimes it seems so big. It's like, where do you start? And you kind of overlook the things you could do today. And that was one of the most beautiful things. Obviously, the orphanage was very heart touching. The elderly home too. My dad really that touched his heart, and he got connected with them and took their number down and wants to do a lot of give back stuff.
Good.
So, I mean, I could go on. We could talk the whole podcast about that, but. For my dad too, he hadn't been back down to Mexico in 30 years. So it's funny, it took him 30 seconds to make a decision that he didn't make in 30 years. And if it wasn't for you and doing this and facilitating, opening that door, I don't know how much longer it would have been, or if it would have even happened. And that sparked something in him. It sparked something in him where he was ready and fired and charged up to go and do more of this work, because he's in his life right now where he's ready to really push into significance. And really do something with his time that can actually help and make an impact for many years to come. And it's something that's been on his heart for a long time. It's just he never got the opportunity, and it wasn't until you opened that door that we got the opportunity to do that. And now he can't stop talking about it. He can't wait for the next one, and we'll be there again.
Let's go, baby. Just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
So a lot of times what I realize with people, like I share my journey, often. I'm very open about that. The best people I know that have that type of inspiration to desire to give back or desire to create impact in the world has been through some sort of part of that hero journey.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you about what things in life have really inspired you, where this is a core value for you, or what pain have you been through that this ended up becoming what I like to call your superpower?
Yeah. Definitely a lot from childhood. My parents were immigrants here. I'm first generation born here. I saw them go through a lot of struggles early on. Like, they came from families that, came from nothing, quite literally nothing.
Like down in where we are down there.
It's like, that's where they came from. And it was a sliver of a chance that I got a completely different opportunity here. And for me, it's just, I'm not going to waste that opportunity. That's what really drives me a lot, because I know my life could be very different. We have some family still down there. We have some family in LA, but it's like a very different life that I could have had. So they put everything on the line to really give me and my sister an opportunity to have different lives. And for me, it would be a disgrace and a slap in the face for them if I were to just let that go to waste. So that drives me a lot. Secondly, I've seen them go through really tough stuff. I saw my parents go through 2 bankruptcies. We just had a really rough childhood with money and everything else involved. And my parents split up early on, and they're still like good friends, which is funny. But all these things that just happened early on, where once I got older, I started to realize there's certain behaviors and patterns and traits that got us into these holes. For me, I honor my parents and everything. They did the best with what they could. And they really did. And they gave us a whole new opportunity. And it allowed me to meet a lot of different people. At 18, I really got to get around a lot of different entrepreneurs. And that's what started to expand my mind. And I got to see how people started to, work around their finances, what they did with their mindset, the way their behaviors and traits and beliefs were very different, the identity side of it. I started to just become infatuated with like people who were successful, but that developed themselves to get there. Because for me, it's like some people think I'm an A-type, but I really wasn't like whatsoever. Like I just wasn't that guy, really wasn't very pushing and on it all the time. Like that was all developed for me. And it wasn't until David Meltzer, which was my first mentor, that he was like the first person to like really wake me up. And he didn't have to do anything but be the example. And I got to see that. And from there, I was like, okay, first I was like, do I even have what it takes? Because this guy's running circles around me at 52 years old.
Yeah.
And after that, it was like, okay, I'm going to start investing in myself, taking stock into who I want to be and who I want to become. And from that point on, I just fully went all in on my own personal development. And you can talk to people who knew me 5-10 years ago, and they'd say it's a completely different person. I made this 180 U-turn. I mean, I was going down the whole path of like after high school, I didn't go to college. I was this whole degenerate path for like 6 years, blacking out 4 or 5 times a week because I hated where I was at my life. I was at dead-end jobs, 12 different ones, from you name it, warehouses, UPS to construction, everything in between, where I just wasn't happy. And after that, it turned into something that, allowed me to have enough pain to want to change, where the discomfort of being someone completely new and really step into the space that I had no clue about, it didn't matter. Like, I just knew that I had to make a change. So for me, it was a lot about the generational leadership. And Ed Milet, who I also got to work with for some time, speaks about this quite a bit. He says, in every family, they once weren't rich. They once weren't well off and wealthy and all of this, right? And he goes, and then the one shows up. And then that one is the one who changed the family lineage forever. For him, he's the one. For me, I'm the one for my family. And so me putting that on my shoulders was kind of me taking on that chip of leadership and saying, we're going to change this path. And I became the example at that point where I could teach my family and, my little sister and everything, where I could be the example for them, where I go and change myself, not to push them and try to force them to change and be like, oh, you have to do this and that. I had to learn that early on, where the best way to impact them was to be the example myself. And so I've been able to see that change a lot in my family over the years. And that's probably one of the most rewarding things about it, aside from anything I've done with any of these entrepreneurs or career or anything, is seeing the change in them as well.
Wow. Being the one and leading by example that creates undeniable pull towards that to create change in other people's lives that you care about and love.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you show people the way instead of telling them the way.
That's it.
And that's been the way that you've had the biggest impact.
Yeah. Eddie used to always say leadership is caught, not taught.
Leadership is caught, not taught.
Yep.
That's fire.
Yeah. Yeah, he had some good ones.
you just went on a incredible just riff right there. Like that was a beautiful way that you really just set a great stage of who you are and why you're that way and the way that you will look at the world.
Yeah.
It's so unique. One thing I'll reaffirm with all the stuff that you just said, just me knowing you for as long as I have, what I admire about you is the consistency of the way you show up and your energy and the way you show up. Every time I see you, you're vibrating in a certain place. And I know that's not always easy,
right?
but it's something that you can tell you're intentional
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
and it's purposeful.
Mm.
You know, the life you're living isn't by accident, it's by design,
Mm.
and you can feel that.
Mm.
And that's why, like, I'm a huge proponent of you. Like, however I can, like, because it's not something they like, you embody it, bro, and that's going to continue to carry you forward in so many different ways.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. When you close your eyes and you visualize your perfect life, your perfect day, you, let's say we go to heaven and God puts on this tape and it looks like this version, the version you lived,
Yeah.
and then this version is like the best version of you that you're extending to be.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
Yeah. I have a couple different things. I think there's different really dreams that I started to look for, because when I was with David Meltzer, one of his goals was to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. And he's a math guy. So he was like, if I can empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000
It's the
people,
amplified ripple effect.
1,000 times 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000 times 1,000 is 1 billion. So I can quite literally impact over 1 billion people. And that made me start to really look for the mission-driven life, where if I could only have one goal for the rest of my life, right? One goal, one North Star. How big would you make that goal? How big would you make that dream? And for me at the time, the first thing that I used to visualize a lot was, once I got around Meltzer, was speaking on stages quite a bit. And years after that, I actually got to speak to a stage of over 2,000 people. And then Meltzer interviewed me after that. And like, it was just such a surreal moment. But for me, it was a dream called the Road to 100 Million. For this dream, it's like a 3-part. It was building a business of over $100 million a year. And then from there, given away over $100 million in my lifetime. And from there, the last one was impacting over 100 million lives to achieve their dreams. For me, that's always been kind of a North Star that makes me think a lot bigger sometimes, because we can see just what's right in front of us. But that just giant mission where this is the goal and the values that I have, and being able to give away. And first, I can't give what I don't have. That's why kind of the business comes first, and then I can give away a lot more. And then from there, I can focus on the significant side of it and impact many lives from there. So that's kind of the big dreaming goal, if I had to put it into perspective of what it kind of looks like tangibly. Outside of that, really it's just my faith is really what, if I had to look at the highest potential of Andrew, it's what reflects best in my faith. Like, how can I reflect Christ best? And that really is the deepest thing for me, has been my faith that has grown, because it's just embodying those characters. For me, is something that's definitely, it'll be a lifelong journey, because we're not perfect and we probably never will be perfect, but we can always be in pursuit of that. So it's a goal that we won't reach, yet we will always be in pursuit of.
Yeah. Some would say like the pursuit is the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
So just the pursuit is becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of the human experience. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times we get caught in our identity of being the parts that we aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And so focus on past failures, past maybe fear, resentments, or past shame.
Mm-hmm.
Shame's a big one.
Yeah.
But then it's understanding that we can change that this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Our past does not dictate our presence or our future.
Nope.
And once we make that transition and realization and that empowerment, but that process that you just talked about of going through that to become in alignment with what it is that we desire in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, most people don't spend too much time on that.
Yeah, for sure.
But you've been around, it sounds like, some great people, and then you took the time to really shift to that. If you want to speak a little bit about like how being around the right people, being around people that think different, that think bigger, that grow and live that. Like you talked about David Meltzer and him running. I like that because I met him once, and I look forward to meeting him more, because I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, and I want that challenge.
Oh, bro.
Like, it's like, let's go, bro. Let's see who lives a more purposeful day here. Let's grind it out, because iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
Right. And there's so much that he knows that I have to learn.
Yeah.
And he's been through so many things that I haven't been through.
Yeah.
And so when we keep that childlike wonder and always desiring to learn and get better, like I'm early in so many of my journeys and I'm focused on creating, and like he's creating those every single day, right? So what would you say the power of surrounding yourself with the right people and being in those right rooms are?
Dude, that's been everything. I credit like just so much to just being around the right people. Because you learn, you exposure leads to expansion, right? You don't know something that you don't know. And so when you get around people that know this stuff, it's like you're just your mind begins to expand. I didn't know that it was normal that people woke up at 4 a.m. 7 days a week, no matter what, on the clock. Like I was like, damn, like this dude is just running circles. And I did have that competitive edge where I was like, in the mornings when I'd be tired, it was 4 a.m. I started doing I literally copied his entire morning routine. And so like at 4 a.m., I knew that he was up getting after it. So I was like, I can't let this dude go and me not do this. I was like 23 at the time, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to let this dude just run circles around me. Like, it's just, that was like the fun competitive side, but also every single day when he'd get to the office, he'd take like 5 coaching calls on the way into the office. As soon as he walked in at 8 a.m., he did his IG live every single day. As soon as that and I'd be waiting for him in the office. I would have like questions typed up, taped out, like everything ready to go so that he just hopped in and go. And I knew every time after that IG live, I had about maybe 30 seconds to a minute max before the rest of the team came in, busted in, and the rest of his day was just go, 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 go. So I had those 30 seconds. And I was very intentional. Every single day I had 3 questions ready for him typed up. I'm like, hey, can I ask you a question? And it wasn't about like, what I was doing or working for him. It was quite literally about the things he's teaching and things I wanted to learn on the personal development side. And so that quickly turned into a 5-minute phone call with us every single day. And so I was talking to him every day and 5 minutes a day, and we're checking in. And even that little check-in, man, it's like he can point out things and he can see the detail of the small little incremental shifts that I need to start making. And I remember he used to tell us all the time, he's like, because one thing that I've learned about being around very successful people is, one, they're not easy to work for, and I say that in the best way possible because their standard is excellence. Their standard is excellence, and if you're not meeting that standard, they're going to tell you very fast. They're not going to sugarcoat it. They're not going to waste their time on it. They're going to tell you. And that's the part about, iron sharpens iron. Like, it sounds good, but when iron is sharpening iron, sparks fly, right?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
This is gold.
Yeah. And so it's like, I remember one time during COVID, actually, world's going crazy. There's all these like raids going on in LA and all this stuff. So I'm just kind of distracted, right? I was very good on my game all the way through. And then like 8 months in, COVID and everything, world's changing. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. And so I start slipping up on my work a little bit. And I remember he used to always say that, like, if I call you and I check you, it's take it as a compliment because it means I believe you.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't believe in you, I wouldn't check you. I would let you go.
Yeah.
Like, so it means
it's like a coach. Once the coach stops yelling at you, then you got to worry.
Then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so, and I remember it was funny because I was like, man, I've been here almost like a year and he's never checked me. Like, does he not believe in me? And so this first time that he calls me and he tells me this and he checks me on it, he's like, right now, you're the weakest player on the team. Weakest link on the team. And I remember smiling when I heard that. And he goes, luckily, if you're on the team, it means you're really freaking good.
Yeah.
But right now, you're weakest.
You're the weakest.
And I was like, Dave, thank you. I appreciate this. And, I will take this and change it. Next month, I ended up being Employee of the Month. I started crushing it. And then that's where I went all in on the personal development side. I went 180 days straight without missing 8 non-negotiables a day. And that was really where internally I changed my own beliefs, my own habits, my own patterns, and quite literally became a new person. And it was because of that challenge. So when I say that they're the hardest people to work for, it's a good thing because they challenge you. And a lot of people avoid challenge. And I've learned to teach myself. It's still not the best, but I learned to teach myself to run towards it, not away from it. And that's a big thing that I see most of the most successful people, they run towards it. When they see obstacles and they see challenges or adversities, they'll run towards it. You know, they want the challenge because they know who they become on the other side of that. And that's really what I had to learn between that.
Yeah. What does Marcus Aurelius say?
Oh, man. I know which one you're trying to talk about. The obstacle is the way. There it is.
The obstacle
is a great book.
Yeah, bro. That's so much wisdom that's out there just to be soaked up.
Yeah.
And I mean, shout out to you to being that person, that human being that just desires to soak it up. Because it's all it's doing is compounding. It's like compound interest is building inside of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, David used to call it the attitude of you must be what you can be. And for me, I always had that where I'm like, it would always challenge me of like, what is my true potential? Because I would get to a place where I get comfortable too, and I'm like, this is not like it, and it never is it, you know? So when you're looking at it as like, what is my truest potential? And he used to say, his saying was like, the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential.
Enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential.
Yeah. And it's the enjoyment, the walk. That a man who loves walking will go further than the man who loves the destination.
So we just talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's big.
It's huge. So, yeah, I credit all of it to a lot of the right people. And why did I end up in those rooms? Why did I get it? I don't know. God just opened up the way, you know. But it did start with like me struggling with my first business. That's really what happened. And I couldn't get business, and it was like up and down. And I started DMing 30 people a day. I made it a non-negotiable. And one of those DMs was David Meltzer. And that's quite literally how that relationship opened up. And since then, the doors have just continued to open up. And I used to do that for about 8 months straight, thousands of DMs and all blue checks. Like I was shooting for the sky, you know, like I was, you know, you name it, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, like everyone. But it's insane because now many of those, I look back through the DMs and now it's been like, oh, it was great meeting. Oh, I mentioned them in their story and I've been able to work around or with them, plenty of them. And so it's been just I couldn't have connected the dots going forward. You know, it only makes sense going backwards. Where I'm like, wow, I didn't know.
So what does the next 3 years look like for you,
man? So after being creative director of a company called Everbowl, a big 8-figure company, also a franchise, I built out the personal brand for the founder Jeff Fenster and. Did that for quite a few years, and back in this last, I don't know, February, I felt God calling me back to business. And it was like that's where I started with my own agency. And then after Meltzer, I went in the house with a few people, and it was great because I got to learn, I got to travel the world, I got to build relationships all over. And now it's putting me in this field where I got to have my own hero's journey. I got to do I did 4 billboard campaigns for New York Times Square. Like, traveled the country. I was traveling 100 days a year. You know, it was just like, it was quite literally like, this is I'm the hero right now in my own journey. And now it's getting to the point back in business where I get to be the guide for other people. And I really, truly like, I was talking to a friend the other day about this, but I love to serve people with my gifts. I truly believe that everyone has an audience they're called to reach, and my job is to help them to reach that audience. So over the next 3 years, you know, it always changes. You know, if you asked me what the last 3 years, 3 years ago, what it would look like, bro, I would have been so off. Like, there's no way I would have guessed that. So what does it look like now? I can only tell you what my input's going to look like then. It's really just putting everything I can into building the brands and people around me that I truly align with. And from there, allowing that to create an impact and a ripple in the world. And, you know, the byproduct of that and great relationships is the money and the business and all that stuff. Like, it's the byproduct. For me, it's the relationship first and the purpose and intention of what you do things with. And all the byproduct is that. Like, I got to see all these big dudes like crush it, but it's not like they're focused on that all day. They're focused on the right inputs, really, that continue to create those outputs or the byproduct of that looks like finances, success, money, relationships, and all different things. But it's first with what they come to the table with and how they come intentionally. So for the next 3 years, it's really just going to be being very intentional with building those relationships and aligning myself with the right people.
So there you go. There's Andrew. If you didn't know, Not
in a nutshell.
Now you know Andrew. So Andrew, now that you basically have shared with everybody why they should listen to you, because after that, I'll definitely desire to listen to you.
Yeah.
Like if people still doubt what you're about to say, maybe they're on the wrong channel listening. It's the wrong thing. So understanding that, we've talked in the beginning that we're going to give 3 takeaways for them, actionable if they desire to create content, they're building a personal brand, they have a business, maybe, or maybe they just have a hobby that they want to share with people.
Yeah.
So if you want to dive in and share some different takeaways, strategies, implementations.
Yeah, right.
Let's dive
Let's get into the sauce now.
Yeah,
I love it.
Baby.
All right, switching gears. So brand identity. This is the thing that I hit on most with like most people. Many founders love to move fast, right? So sometimes you don't want to sit in the brand identity long enough to truly understand who are we going after? Who is that 10,000? There's a really good book actually called 1,000 True Fans. And it said you can make a life of your dreams with just 1,000 true fans. And it's really true. So who are those 1,000 true fans? Like, who is that ideal client avatar that you're going after, that you're trying to attract, right? I'm big on attraction marketing, right? A lot of it is like putting out the things that are going to attract the people that you're trying to reach. So brand identity is huge on understanding not only the demographics, but the psychographics of the people you're trying to reach. So what are their ambitions? What are their fears? What are they struggling with? Their biggest pain points? What are they kind of curious about? Like all these different things to get into the mind of your ideal client avatar, because then you can start creating the correct content. So I call this the 4 pillars of brand equity. So number 1 is the brand identity, right? Once you get that right and you figure out 2 things, the magic is you have your story and then you have your ideal client avatar, and how you connect those 2 together, where you become the guide, the story brand framework, you become the guide in that and you connect your story to it. That's where the magic really happens on brand identity. So once you got that, you understand your people and you understand how your story connects to them, then you can go to pillar number 2, content. You're going to create all the right content. You're going to create all the right topics around what are they struggling with? What are decisions they're delaying, right? What are things that they're trying to learn and trying to grow into? And what are their fears? Like what keeps them up at 3 a.m.? Like those are the things that we're going to start to create content around that. So once you get the right brand identity, you got the right content, then you can build out. Then you go to exposure. This is where distribution comes into play. You got to put more rods into the ocean, right? The more rods you have in the ocean, the more likely you are to catch a fish. So if we can put 300 rods a month out instead of 6 rods a week instead, like you have a way higher chance of catching more fish. So then it's like, okay, let's get a ton of exposure. And this is where you also start to adjust. You want data. We're in a data world today. Content is so much more science today than it is even art. There's both of them. It's an art and a science. The science is how you make it work. The art is the aesthetic, the branding side of it, the thing that really emotionally attaches to people. But the science, you need both. And so the science aspect of it is where the exposure comes in. You understand how to create better hooks, right? You understand how to test a ton of videos to see what topics are really hitting, what people really want to learn about, and you start to repackage that, right? There's a 3-stack content method that I love to use, and it goes first with written because it's the most scalable. I was doing 20 tweets a day just to be able to test what topics hit, and then from there, if there was a tweet that did 3,000 views, let's say, it was an outlier, and then from some of them did 10 to 20, which is very interesting because then you start to register all this data. But once I had outliers there from written, I would then take them to short form, make short form videos with that, and whatever that tweet was, I would make it that the hook. So I already knew I was playing on data, so I knew this would already work. And then from there, I then take the outliers for short form, and then I do it in long form because the long form takes the longest to make. So instead, I'm starting where it takes the least amount of time, and then from there, scaling to short form, then to long form. But we're using data to tell us all the way what the winners are.
Data-driven science artist.
Yeah, that's my title.
That's your title. Yeah. Data-driven scientist.
Content scientist, we'll call it.
artists.
But really, that all ends on pillar 4, which is the funnel. That's where the monetization comes through.
And without the monetization, I think a lot of times it's easy to forget about that. Like we all want to create impact.
Yep.
We want to create this amplified, messaging and, get all this stuff to happen and have people believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we also, monetization is a key piece of that.
100%.
Because with monetization, you can amplify the message.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to fall into a trap of not really focusing on that part of it.
Yeah.
But what would you say some of the keys on the monetization aspect and the funnel and how people should look at that?
For sure. Well, let's get clear on what a funnel is first. A funnel could quite literally be a link to book a call in your bio. It could be a link that pulls up the product that they could buy. It could be a DM automation. It could be an email newsletter sign up. Whatever that first step in your funnel is, right? We want to make sure that there's no resistance to it, right? It's really easy to step into it because the second you start putting resistance is people are not going to take that first step in your funnel. Therefore, you're not going to get people in the funnel actually that then end up converting. So the big thing there is obviously get the right brand ID, which means you make the right content, which means you're attracting the right exposure. And if you have the right exposure, you're getting the right people to your funnel. And they're the right people in your funnel because they're buying. So as long as you have that 4-stack system, you're able to get the right people to your funnel. And it doesn't have to be some complex, super long 13-page webinar. And it doesn't have to be that. Are there times and places for it? Yes. But for anyone that's trying to start right now, dude, put a Calendly link in your bio and let it run. Like it's quite literally because we start to overthink it, right? We start to overthink, how do we get people to do this and that? As long as you're attracting the right people, they're going to reach out to you and ask you.
Right.
Like that's what attraction marketing is. Like over the years, it's funny. I still get DMs here and there of people are like, hey man, I love this video. I want to talk to you about personal branding. I go, let's chat. Here's the link. That easy. And instead of me sending 30 DMs a day like I used to way back when I had no brand, no credibility, there was a time and place for that too, right? But now that I have brand and credibility, I can then allow that to get attracted to me. And all I got to do is sit here and continue to do the things I'm good at. So the funnel side of things is the clarity on your ideal client avatar from brand identity is going to allow you to attract the right people because many people, especially I see this in the podcast space and a lot of realtors, same thing. Many realtors I see their content, and a lot of times they're making content for other realtors.
Not for
it's all the other realtors commenting on their things and this funny stuff, and they're because they kind of want to be seen and they don't really know what's that step. And I say, what's the first step in your funnel? What do you mean? it's so.
And the other part is ego versus ego marketing versus sales marketing.
Yeah.
A lot of times we do marketing for the ego and not for sales.
For sure. And even on the sales side, I call it's solution-based sales. I'm solving problems for people. Your content, your micro content should be solving micro problems. So that's really where I look at it. It's solve miniature problems for people. And from there, they're going to come to you as the trusted educator. Then you become the authority in your space. And from there, they know, and trust you, are willing to do business with you. And at that point, that's why brand is just so incredible. I've been able to see just how founders have been able to leverage it. We've been able to scale down the sales cycle by 2 to 3x. Attracting A+ talent because they want to go with thought leaders. So if you're out there being a thought leader and you have this great brand, guess what? You attract A.
Yeah, I mean, if Elon Musk called me right now, he's like, "Hey, bro, I want you to come work and." You can, I'll give you all the tools to be, to create whatever division you want. I'll be like, all right, you have such giant reach, when you surround yourself, leverage.
Yeah.
When you surround yourself with the right people.
That's it.
Right?
And your brand builds that trust for you. It's networking while you sleep.
Networking while you sleep.
Yeah.
So what are some of the traps that people get into, Gynergy, right? For us, ours is about gratitude, impact, Garin, that's the amplified energy, but it's super important that the brand, signifies trust, community, all the core, really core values that we have set.
Yeah.
If you get off of that, especially in the space that we're in, that is very painful. But
for sure,
the way that you build that trust is by showing up every day. And maybe things aren't perfect. They're never going to be.
Yeah.
But you show up, you own that, you keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
What are mistakes that people make as they build that brand equity that people should be aware of or watch out for? Or the other question, other side of that coin is, how do they amplify that brand so they or take actions that are making sure the brand presence is in the right way? If somebody is listening to this right now, building a brand is something that's really important to them, like the quality of their brand, being positioned in the right way.
Yeah.
The brand meaning something and building that integrity that
Yeah.
attracts. You talk about attracting people to it.
Yep.
What are some things that they should really focus on, the do's and don'ts? What are, maybe 5 things to do and 5 things to really make sure you avoid?
Yeah. Yeah. So you might have to help me count on that. But the first thing that comes to mind is something, especially with a lot of founder brands, right? It's something that there has to be a through line, right? When there's so many brands and there's an umbrella brand like Gynergy and there's like Garin under and Yessie under, right? And you have all these different brands under, it's easy to get lost in the marketing and the messaging because you got so many different things going on, and many people come across that. And so my big thing is, for me, a lot about the brand, like I've learned to not get married to the brand.
Right.
I'm married to the impact that I'm trying to create and the values that I'm connected to. Because then it doesn't matter if the brand changes or repurposes 10 times. It's the same messaging. It's the same consistent value set that you carry. So the things you mentioned, like community, gratitude, impact, and service, those things are going to be with you no matter what the name is. Like no matter what you put your name to, those are the same values in all of that. So consistent in your values. Then from there, you can build whatever brand. Because you could change the brand. You could completely rebrand today, but people will keep following along because not because the name is cool, not because they like the logo, because they like you. They trust you and they believe in your leadership. They believe in what you're doing in the world and your values. They resonate with that. That's one of the biggest things that I see people start to get lost in. Too much of this, of like, what about the name, this and that? And I'm like, honestly, like, I could tell you my opinions, but it's just subjective. Like, names, like what's Apple? What's Amazon? Like, these are some of the biggest brands. Nike. Like, what does that mean? Branding is quite literally the association or meaning people give when they see this logo, they see this name, they see this company. So for you, that's quite literally that, right? It's the community, it's the gratitude, it's the impact and the service, right? That's living with intention is a huge one that I see you doing. And people know that about you. So they know whatever you put out, it's going to hold those values. Those values are going to be true in that. So a lot of people get stuck there. They never execute. And that's the hardest part. And I always say complexity is the enemy of execution.
Oh, wow.
And that's one of the biggest things that people will get stuck on. And for me, that's what I feel a lot of times, like my job to come in is to make it easy for them, so that they're not thinking about all this stuff and strategy and stuff that takes the creativity and the fun sometimes. For me, it's creative and fun, but a lot of times, like, if you're the one creating and you're the creator on camera, like, you shouldn't be thinking about all these things. You should be really present and being able to be in the moment and do what you're best at. Like, that's where I look at people. It's like, stay in your genius zone. Whatever you can talk about for hours on end, that's what you need to be doing. Like, that's what you need to be talking about and putting out there, because that's the thing that is going to be most authentic for you, that you can talk about every single day. Because trust me, even with my passion around content creation and brand strategy and distribution, some days I'm like, man, do I really want to talk about this every day? But then I find some new thing. I find some new tool or this new strategy or a framework, and I get fired up, and I can't wait to talk about it on camera. I kid you not, bro. Like, I'll learn something and make a video that day of that thing. And it's literally what I love to do. And I wouldn't have kept doing it if I didn't find that love of, like, or at least learn to love that process of continuing to just put value out. And it's not because of, like, the value that of what it's bringing me. It's because I really truly enjoy, like, is my content making an impact? Because if your content isn't changing the way someone thinks, then what is it really doing? And so for me, it's like, how am I actually helping them tangibly take something away or change the way they think about something? And that's been kind of like the North Star for at least making my content. But that's a few of the things that I see of, like, I guess, don'ts. or
Yeah.
dues.
It reminds me of this quote that I've come to realize: if you try to be everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody.
Done.
If you
You
try to
stand
be
for everything, you stand for nothing.
right. And at a certain point, you got to make a decision about what you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, people that resonate with that will resonate
Yep.
deeply.
Yep.
And the other people just won't care.
Yeah.
Or fall off
Yeah.
or whatever. And you're so worried about, there's plenty of people that resonate with who you are and your view.
For sure.
And hopefully you're cultivating a good version of you in that. But either way, there's people that are going to resonate.
For sure. And you bring up a good point too of like, many people, when they start to get very clear on who they're trying to attract or niche with the person they're trying to attract, usually you start to see a drop in audience, right? Because that total addressable market, like for me, for instance, if I make a piece of content about founder-led brands, the TAM is very small compared to like what the mass market of creators is, right? For you, for Gynergy or level 5, let's say, I mean, a lot of them are already high level. They're probably top 5, top 1%.
Yeah.
And then those are the guys that want to be top 0.5 in the world.
Yeah.
Like, okay, take the top 1%. Okay. Then take the top 1% of just men. Like it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And that TAM starts to get smaller. And people think, oh, it's not working. People don't like this because their views are going down by like 20%. And it's like, no, you're only speaking to a certain crowd that they just haven't found you yet. And with that, it's like so many of us take for granted, like, take 500 views, 1,000 views. People are like, oh, that underperformed. That sucked. Terrible. Dude, if 500 people were in here right now, 1,000 people were in here right now, and you got to speak to them all at once and give your message all at once, and you can do that multiple times a day. Like, we take for granted how like there's a person behind every single view. There's a person behind every single like. Like, there's people that are engaging and actually resonating with this. And for us, it's like, oh, like the comparison is just thief of joy. Like, because we see these people like doing millions of views here and here and here. A lot of times we don't realize that those views aren't really doing anything too. So that's one of them, is like, don't get scared if you start to address a smaller market and your views start to go down. They go down before they go back up, because now the algorithm is learning who you're actually attracting.
So let's go through as we start to wrap up.
Yeah.
Let's go through and do some rapid fire questions.
Okay. What you got?
You ready for this?
I've been ready.
You ready? You sure?
Dude,
let's step in. What's the best piece of advice you ever got?
Take stock into who you want to be, and invest into your future self. That's what David Meltzer used to always tell us.
What's the one failure in your life that's had the biggest impact?
I had an insurance business that failed after 2 years and 25 licensed agents. I went home, had to sell my car for rent, and completely restart my life. But that's when I went back to what my genius zone was, and that was media and content. And I went all in on the thing that had the most amount of momentum with the least amount of resistance. And that completely changed my life.
What's the one thing somebody can do right now to completely change the trajectory of their life?
Take a first step. Like, a lot of times we think we have to have this grandiose plan and everything else, but you don't know till you try. And I would have never known that any of this was possible if I didn't try. So taking a step, as simple as it seems, even right now, the biggest goal in your mind, what's the first step? Start there.
Is it better to double down on your strengths or work on your weaknesses?
Both. Be adequate in your weaknesses and maximize your strengths.
Damn, that was fire. I did not expect that. Oh my God, man.
No, I told you already.
Bro, that was good. That was good.
Ready.
All right, you just threw that, bro. You got me on that one. All right, I love that. What's one piece of advice you give to your younger self?
Just trust that it's gonna work out. Like, you don't have to worry. Like, it will work out. Just keep doing the things and trust the process.
What's the biggest? What's the one thing in your morning routine that's not negotiable?
Prayer and the word every single day. That's my first two things.
What's your favorite Bible verse?
That's a good one, because I have a lot right now. Psalm 23, where it talks about the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. He lies me down in green pastures. His rod and his staff comfort me. Even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For his rod and his staff, they comfort me, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Mm-hmm.
I paraphrase some of that, but it's one of the ones that I go back to a lot.
Yeah. What's one thing that you desire to be remembered for after you pass away, after you're gone?
Someone who truly wanted to see the ripples of just good deeds. I want to inspire other people to truly not only awaken their potential in them, but then use that for the better good of the world.
Let's go. What does a level 5 life mean to you?
Level 5 life. That's the number one thing, dude. I resonate with it a lot because I think it truly is like really chasing down that guy. Ed used to always say this with really how he saw the end of his life. And he goes, at the end of my life, I feel like I'm going to get there and I'm going to meet with God and he's going to show me this entire list. And he's going to say, these are all the things you could have been, you could have done, you this and that. And he's going to show a reflection. And he's like, and he says this, he goes, hell to me would be meeting the highest potential of me and us being complete strangers. And the other side of that was him getting there and being that guy and being like, I've been chasing you my whole life. I caught you, man. And so when I think about level 5 life, I think about that is when you get to the end of your life, you see your highest potential self and you go, I got you, bro. I've been chasing you all this time. You know, you thought you got away from me, but, you know, I've been on you this whole time.
That's so powerful. You got one thing to leave the audience with. What is it?
If you're listening to this show, there's a reason probably far greater than you actually understand. Maybe in this moment, Garin, I honor you for just who you are, your mission, and I see you, and I've gotten the pleasure to know you behind the scenes a lot. We spent a lot of time together. I see how you are in your relationship. I see how you are as you lead people, and you really truly pour out. And sometimes that gets very lonely, even though you might not show that a lot. It takes a lot. And, you know, for all those leaders out there that are feeling that same way, that know that you pour out and you do good for the world and you're doing all these things, you're not alone. And you always have me to lean on. And if you're listening to this show, you have Garin to lean on and him to lean on you. And you're an example for the world as what men should be in their relationships and their businesses and the world. And I truly honor you for that.
Thank you, brother. Like one of the most genuine human beings I have the pleasure of knowing right here, Andrew. Andrew, where people need to have more exposure to you. I think that's a commitment that I have. I desire that for you. How can people get in contact with you?
Instagram is the easiest way. You can find me on pretty much all platforms at Andrew Gonzalez, Andrew Zalez. Send me DMs, questions, whatever you want. I answer everything. I give the game for free. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
So if you want to get in contact with one of the most genuine human beings on this planet, reach out to Andrew. It's not going to disappoint. And Andrew, thank you for being here, brother. Like you just, man, your energy is incredible and you have a mission. And I'm so grateful to spend this time with you. Thank you for joining us for this episode. I hope you found as much value to it as I did. Please, if you are finding value, if you resonated with what Andrew or I are sharing, please share it, like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those great things, and let's continue to create that ripple effect. And I look forward to seeing you next time.
Let's go.
Let's go.
If this episode spoke to your soul,
share it with someone you love and tag us at the Gynergy Effect. We'd love to connect.
And remember, your energy is your power. Use it with intention.